Today, I am coming in after a couple months hiatus. Kind of took some time off, figuring out what I want to do with the channel and everything. But yeah, just just you can always catch me over at Off the Console. We do that weekly podcast. But yeah, I want to get back in the community, see if who's out there. Looks like we have Low Jack. How you doing, man? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So yeah, like always, we'll let some people trickle on in, but we'll start off with the big. It's not really news, but a lot of speculation. We can talk through it. Um, I kind of get tired of it, but for some reason, I'm a little excited to jump into some of what Valve's doing. So, yes, LoJack, welcome, welcome. Let me share. Let's see, Chris, welcome, welcome, welcome. How you guys doing? Are you guys excuse me, I'm also getting over being sick. Are you guys let's see, just hiding. Are you guys Resident Evil fans? Like the new Resident Evil's pretty good. What have you guys been playing? What have you been doing? Maybe I'll ping Discord real quick. Man, I need to go through and just like do a huge overhaul of everything on Discord or potentially my new server system I've been working on. Um, Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, so let's see. Sometimes it won't give me everyone's response. But okay. Chris, I'm glad to see you live. I have a question. Yes, shoot, go for the question. Let's do this before we jump full on into this topic. LoJack, I am, but I haven't played an RE game since 5. 5 was my favorite though. So you liked Chris punching the the boulder? I like Chris. He's in what, 1, 5, 6. I think that's where Chris Redfield is. But then you've got Leon, and he's in the newest one. And the newest Cascutter, welcome, welcome, welcome. And also Zabberfangs, welcome. So Resident Evil 9, which is Requiem, is a reminiscence of like the new Resident Evils mixed in with some of the old ones, like the remakes, and it's really fun. I gotta tell you, I love it. Raichi, welcome, welcome, welcome. How you doing, man? I know. I'm glad that people are seeing that I jumped on. It's been a few months, uh, but finally got to doing it. I do want to mix up if I do streaming some more. Like, I'll mix it up on a different channel, just as it does hurt numbers. But I haven't released a video in a while. But it's been good. It's been good. I have some good announcements in the future to do for some stuff I've been working on that will pertain to you guys. But I mean, I've been gearing up for home lab stuff too. Yeah, so yeah, now that we have more people in, we can dive into the topic here in a second. But I want to ask one more time, what have you guys been playing lately? What have you guys been doing? Um, and I'll respond as we get into this next topic. LoJack, the general consensus I keep seeing is Requiem is scary. LoJack, Requiem is very mixed on its action horror and its survival. It's interesting because you play as Grace in a first person view. I mean, they recommend you to do a first person, but you can do mixed views for both, which is so weird. But with Grace, you do as a first person, and it's she's very scared the whole time, which wasn't too annoyed by, but there was definitely times where I'm like, okay, there's nothing around. We can calm down, not make the noise. But it was, it's very freaky. I really like the alchemist kind of aspect of using your blood to make bullets with other stuff, which was kind of funny. But she's first person, very slow paced, very She doesn't soak up damage very well, so she can die a little quicker. And then you got Leon who's trying to rescue her and do all this other stuff. And like, I'm not going to ruin much, but Leon also has a lot more action. Doesn't have access to like as many aspects of a traditional Resident Evil as you traditionally would. So definitely, I recommend it for anyone that's even slightly interested. It is scary, but you can play with the lights on. I highly recommend it. Rachel's gonna go check on BT. Sounds good. The general, Chris. I know I changed my mind a lot. PC. I need your help. Should I go with 1X Fly Apex or the Ionio Next 2? I've been saving up. That is an interesting question. What do you want to play? Well, Ionio Next 2. So, Chris, if you don't mind, I will get to these question at the either after the main topic or you know, if you can't make it for the whole stream, then I'll cover it a little later. But I want to get through at least the main topic first to just get through that. But I have it queued up right here. If anyone else wants to talk about something or mention stuff, like we can throw it in here. I'll definitely have some hot takes on this, I think. But yeah. BT Maverick, welcome. How you doing, man? LoJack's been playing Vane, pretty fun zombie survival. Oh, that's right. I haven't checked. I need to check out Vane again. I have not played that yet, but it looks interesting. I've been playing a lot of single player games and games kind of getting through my library. Uh, Obviously, the biggest one was Resident Evil. Like, I had to play Resident Evil. Like, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. Um, you might not know it, but I love Dead Space. Half-Life, all that stuff. But Resident Evils, I own all the Resident Evils in multiple versions for PlayStation, especially for the PlayStation, because that's where I played it originally on Resident Evil 1. That was a scary game. Res 1 on the PlayStation had the most mind-blowing, scary graphics for the time, and still is very eerie image of a zombie in our video in the beginning of Resident Evil 1. Chris, I have been doing pretty good. I've been pretty busy. I think I really took time off and got stuck in vacation mode. So my work paid for an offsite where we all went to a resort in Mexico, and then I went into vacation mode and just relaxed. It was very nice. So, but I'm back to do some more videos and we'll figure out streaming. So I love chatting with you guys, and I'll make sure to update more in YouTube. So keep an eye on YouTube and Discord. But yeah, we'll have some fun with all this. So, yeah, you guys can continue to ask questions. Oh, there, Chris. Welcome. Continue to ask questions. We can always gear those up towards the end, and I can answer them. And let's jump into the first one. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the Steam Machine is going to come out this year, or is it going to get delayed until 2027? I know they changed the wording on it. Like wow, that's really bright. We all, if you watch anything of the Steam Machine, which I'm sure a good chunk of you guys are welcome, welcome back, sir. Says Satanic. Thank you. Yes, I'm back. Raichi, hey, my controller became golden. Yes, you are. You've been going strong there, Raichi. So yeah, let me double check a few things on the YouTube stream. Let me just gear this up real quick. I only do this because sometimes I'm using Riverside's chat and it sometimes misses stuff. LoJack 2027 sadly is what you think it is. My gut says 2027, but I don't think Valve would come out and like correct some stuff and say it's going to be this year instead of early this year, and then not have it this year. But you never know. If they're having a hard time tackling, I want to get into Where are you? Damn. Uh, there we go. So, okay, Raichi has been a member for 25 months. Everyone will bow towards the great Xbox Helix. Nice, Rachel. Yes, we'll talk about the Helix. I believe it's on here, or we'll get to it at one point today. This is why I pulled up the app, is because I didn't want to miss out on anyone's if they do a super chat or if you've been a member. So yes, thank you for being a member once again, Rachie. Uh, I gotta ask. So, Rachie, you've been a member for so long, 25 months. This is, I mean, you're OG. Like, what features? What do you want more from being a member? What do you want me to produce more there? I always like doing that type of stuff. Figured I'd throw that out there. You can answer, and then we'll continue on with this. So, the Icarus is looking forward to Crimson Desert now that I purchased a key from Green Man Gaming. I'm going to have to check that out. It looks interesting, but I'm so Resident Evil and like survival coded, like not coded, but like in the mood lately that we'll see if I eject out of that anytime soon and get to something else. Is going to be reason what's going on with the war price may make it not stable, uh, make it unstable. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong there, Zabrafinks. LoJack, I'm not doing that stupid queue system that they did with the Steam Deck. I'd rather wait rather than drive myself crazy with anticipation. True, LoJack, but you were a part of the group with Games Revealed when we first did that, and like it was a fun ride to know that we were all screwed over, not screwed over, but we all were in the same boat of waiting. That was always fun, kind of. It made for some interesting times. Um, I mean, unstable. 1080, 30 frames per second, looking a little spooky there, BT Maverick. Is that what you're saying about um, a recent blog post from Valve made it sound like the launch could slip into 2027, which here's a little bit of a hot take. If it gets into 2027 and it's not the first 2 or 3 months, like a true early, because I'll tell you what, guys, early in a year is not the first half of the year. That's not how early works. Early is within the first, I would say, 2 months, can be into the first three. You would say quarter 1 if it was the case, but we can argue semantics. If it is any other time of 2027, they might be screwed over by Xbox's system, potentially. That being said, their system is going to be pretty expensive. But the thing, let's say the Xbox, because they were Microsoft was saying the next Xbox could be $1,000. If this comes out at $1,000 and the new Xbox comes out at $1,000 and it can play Steam games, this, like, I'm not one to say this is dead on arrival. There's a lot of people saying that on the internet. This would be heavily damaged by that. I would probably still buy one, but I would probably, I don't know, for 1,000, I would be very tempted to do the other one, even though I'm a huge Valve fan. I own everything Valve. It doesn't take a whole lot to do that because they've only released so much. But I'd be very tempted. I'd probably get both, honestly. If it's more than 1,000, then that's a hard one because I've been saving up for this one. But if it comes into next year, I could save up for the Xbox also and just have money for both. Uh, LoJack, yeah, but Valve couldn't give us a decent timeline. It took some guy creating an algorithm to have a decent idea when you'd get it. It was a cluster F of a release. It was the biggest problem, and this is where Valve needs to work on it, is that they need to start pushing some of their weight and some of their money, and maybe even and not be so, because I don't think they're reserving enough resources like RAM, and they're not really purchasing enough from these facilities, these factories, to warrant them to be pushing. I think PlayStation and Xbox, they're going to be releasing in the next year or two. Their next system, from my understanding, they're probably not going to have too many issues with this delay because they have a lot of ties and a lot of and they buy a lot. Nintendo Switch is actually not had too many problems with with supply. I don't know about now. Can you guys like buy a Switch 2 right now? I think you can. I think you've been able to buy a Switch 2 since pretty much almost a month or two after it came out. You've not There've not been really too many issues with that. The Steam Deck went out of stock a week or two, or what, for a month, and it still might be out of stock. Let's see here. Steam Deck. Well, this is gonna go to Steam Deck HQ, which is fine too, but let's see. Steam. We'll just go to Steam. And then if we type in Steam Deck, I think they're back in stock. Nope, they're out of stock. So there could also be a run on it with people that are trying to sell it or really just want one really bad and don't want to wait any longer. They're out of stock and they pop in and out of stock, by the way. So Raichi, I don't not Raichi, but LoJack, I don't know if you know this, but like they're having issues keeping Steam Decks in. They're having issues keeping Steam Decks in, and it is not because they're rerouting it to the Steam machine. Then Steam machine is going to be very hard to get, which I don't know. I want a Steam machine. If it comes out this year, I'm getting it. I will get it if it's $1,000. I will get it if it's $2,000. I meant to say $1,200. Beyond that, I will beg Valve for one at a discounted rate to do content on. But beyond that, I'm not. I don't know if I'd spend more than $1,200 on this. BT Maverick, yes, and I'm not a fan of FSR software level upscaling. Really, BT Maverick, it is going to get better. It gets better every generation. I'm a big fan of FSR, if done right, especially if it's on the go. Like Steam Deck makes sense that FSR is like a king there. Yeah, on the Steam machine, since it's 6 times more powerful, you shouldn't have to use FSR if you don't want to. But if you want to get like the best balance of like resolution and visuals, you're probably going to want to use FSR. It just depends on the game. Raichi, we are getting an Xbox UI on PC before Steam machine. Maybe, Raichi. Damn, probably. There, Chris. I put Steam OS back on my ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. Yeah, there, Chris. I'm looking to I have the Z1 Extreme right here, like the Asus. I still have my my Legion Go 2. I quite like it, but I'm not gonna lie. I was playing Resident Evil on the PlayStation controller, and it's just a tighter joystick. And I went back to the Legion Go 2 to play Resident Evil on 2 because I was going back and forth and whatever. And it's a softer joystick, and I don't like that. I like a tighter joystick. I played on PlayStation, and it's probably because of PlayStation. I've played on PlayStation controllers so much on and off throughout my life because I've had a PlayStation since PlayStation 1. My parents got me a PlayStation 1 over a Nintendo 64, and that's just how things go. But yeah, it's making me a little like the Steam Deck's joystick is not that soft. Like it has more it's a little bit firmer resistance to move the joystick. So yeah, I don't know. Who knows what I'll go back to or go to. Um Helix plus Steam controller. Here you go. I think they really, to save face, I think they want to do a combo release and do like a release of like everything at once, or they have some type of special thing. I think they just need to release the controllers. There's no way they don't have controllers. It doesn't take RAM. I don't think any of the supplies are a part of it, but there is the. If you guys don't know, America kind of likes to kind of get involved in wars more than it should. And I'm just trying to put it softly. And so the new war that we're in, it might cause some stability issues with both the dollar, supplies, et cetera, et cetera. Like there could be a lot of things that come from that. We'll see. So it could also push the Steam machine further that way. BT Maverick and the Xbox Helix can play the most popular games in the world like Fortnite and Call of Duty, GTA 6 if it hasn't been ported to PC yet. So almost guarantee you the Steam machine will be able to be Windows compatible. So if you want to put Windows on it, you can. I agree, BT Maverick. Like, if you have an end-all be-all device, the Xbox Helix will probably be the best one for any gamer that likes to game with a controller. Um, I think Xbox has actually been supporting mouse and keyboard a lot more lately, right? So I do know that this next version is going to be full on Windows, but with game mode attached to it. I don't think game mode's the best. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I think it might be better than the Xbox. I don't know. That's a good. I don't know. So we could debate that. Switch 2 buffer with supply not sure in the future. Interesting. Yeah. I think they just have so much that they can order and keep in stock that I don't think we're going to see some of these other consoles and devices run out as quick. Where Valve doesn't have as much of a backbone when it comes to ordering the stuff. I mean, they can't keep the Steam Deck in, and them delaying this into being just released at one point this year and not confirming like a strong date just suggests that they do not have the supply. I have no clue why they announced the Steam machine without having a solid supply line and like already have them built out and ready to release yet. That's crazy to me that they released before having it all solidified. I know that it was timing, but like I think everyone noticed that AI was going to be doing more and more, causing more and more issues with RAM and hard drives and stuff like that. So I definitely think it was a very predictable conundrum that they got themselves into, but unfortunately. Um, Xbox UI is coming in April this year, and that's for is that for desktop and mobile? Raichi, BT Maverick FSR compared to Intel's XESS or NVIDIA DLSS, but that's hardware level. FSR. So BT Maverick, you like the DLSS more. I do like NVIDIA's a little bit more, but at the end of the day, I FSR is getting so good with the newer iterations that I don't care. I don't know if I care too much. Part of the problem, the reason too, is like I'm kind of sick of Nvidia's shit. I'll be honest. Even though they did fork Godot, that's a new little news item that we'll talk about on Off the Console this week on the podcast. But that's a whole other thing, which maybe they're going to be getting into supporting that game engine, which is a good thing. But yeah, I don't know. Nvidia is kind of pissing me off lately. But yeah, it is what it is. Um, Rachie, me Canadian. I love American, just not orange. Boy, Rachie. Yeah. I hear you, Rachie. BT Maverick Steam machine will definitely be able to install Windows on it. Yeah, the drivers are the only exception, and they release the drivers for the Steam Deck, and I don't think the Steam machine is going to be anything extra special. There might be some like Wake on LAN feature on it, not Wake on LAN. Sorry, Wake HDMI Wake on HDMI capable driver that they might need. That's because I think it's a specialized way they're doing that. Raichi, remember Valve does nothing and win. Maybe they are waiting for RAM to come out of nowhere for round two. Maybe. I think every second that they wait, Valve waits. If they are waiting, they're getting royally screwed every second because this has been a cluster F of a year in the sense of like stability reasons and even like starting in November, like stability reasons from RAM, from hard drives are even becoming harder to get. Like I want to do a home lab. I might be doing a Mac Mini home lab to start out to do some of the stuff I want to do. So BT Maverick, but you'll lose some of that Steam magic. Oh, I agree. Like I don't like Steam wise. Like I don't play. Well, I have multiple options. I have a computer right here. If I want to play League of Legends, which I I go back and forth every day or two, not every day, every few weeks, and like maybe I should play League, and I just never play League, but I might maybe one day again play League because I just only like playing it with people. I hate League by myself. So That's the thing that's stopping me. But I'd play it on well, actually, I don't yeah, and I don't think League's compatible on Steam Deck and SteamOS, but I have my Windows over here. I game sometimes on my Mac. I have my handhelds. I pick and choose whatever I game on, and I stream a lot for my Windows PC. So I have it all hooked up to LAN now. Be moving soon, so probably have to redo all that LAN stuff I did. Um, you lose some of that Steam. Cyberpunk, I'm sick of Nvidia and sick of AMD laying their can pushing the market, and Intel doesn't know where they park their car. Yeah, I get sick. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, it doesn't feel like anyone's really doing anything for us. They are all going after B2B business, which I get it is more lucrative, but a market usually self-corrects. There's another person that enters or there's competition. We're just in this place where we're screwed over because there are so many patents, there's so much tech tied to these three companies, Intel, AMD, and Nvidia. We're just at their mercy. It's up to them if they want to sell us something. They don't really like that. The drop in the bucket of income they get from us is minuscule. Now, I do use AI tools. I don't mind having AI infrastructure. I think that it needs to be regulated and not thrust upon us so harshly. But I use it in a very different aspect. Maybe than a lot of people, I think. But yeah, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. So much tech news. The Mac Neo, yes, Rachie, the Mac Neo. We'll get into that in a second. Not to forget, Microsoft secured a lot of RAM. Yeah, I think a lot of these companies secured a lot of RAM. Um, yeah, like let's see here. Yeah, updated wording. We shared recently that there has been been challenges with memory and storage shortages, but we will be shipping all three products this year. More updates will be shared as we finalize our plans. I'm hoping Valve can deliver. The Steam Machine feels like a godsend in the current dog eat dog PC hardware space. One where some analysts are predicting the end of entry level machines altogether. I mean, and because of Mac, it probably will be technically entry level for laptops at least. As far as, um, entry level for PC, it might be with this shortage. It may be really hard for these, PCs that are gonna be like Steam Machine to survive, especially when the Steam Machine comes out. It might really hurt, like, Framework and some of these other companies that have them. So so Xbox UI is coming for everyone in April. Okay. I know that's coming soon, but what's not coming soon is MacBook Neo. It is the reason I'm covering this, and this is not something I'd recommend anyone that's a powerhouse. If you have someone going to school or only does a certain amount of things with their computer and that's all they need, the MacBook Neo is a very interesting device. It's boring. It's not as exciting as I think the Steam Machine. The Steam Machine um, has a lot of power in a little cube. Uh, the MacBook Neo also does too, but having a decent screen, a decent keyboard, a decent trackpad. I'm not gonna say it's decent sounding speakers, but like it's a metal chassis laptop and I say $500 because I think you can get $100 off with the student discount. And a lot of people can get I could probably get one for my kid and get a student discount. $500. And from my understanding, guys, this thing is a beast in the sense of it was last year's iPhone chip, which is what my wife has. Actually, my wife has like an iPhone Pro Max. I don't know. It's the highest one. That's what I usually get myself to. It's like the highest level one. I just hold on to it for a few years. But it has that, and it's as good as an M1 chip. And if you guys don't know, these chips, the M1 chip can play Cyberpunk. It can play some other stuff, and from my understanding, this can too. It has 8 gigs of RAM, but you got to give it like it's optimized, and because it's a mobile processor, and Mac can be a little heavy at sometimes, but like because it's but it's yeah, I think it's optimized too for the Mac OS is optimized for this. I'm not 100% sure, but what do you guys would you guys get something like this? Let's say you wanted because it only has 8 gigs. Like if I was to say you wanted something as a server, I mean Mac Minis are for me personally good because then I can run a lot of different automated services through because I make mobile apps for a company. I do other stuff. Like it makes sense to have like I have a lot of Mac hardware partially because of that, partially because I ate into the the ecosystem and trust me, like some people say, "Oh, don't get started on one or you won't start." I'm like, I just want things to work for my day to day, like videos or doing whatever, and it's awesome. Gaming, it's okay. I tried streaming. If you guys have caught the Brink channels, sometimes I stream on there games, and I've tried streaming some games, and it inevitably it just doesn't do well. But yeah. So Raichi, Mac Neo at $500 sounds great compared to the Steam Deck. Interesting. So compared to the Steam Deck, I actually am kind of curious. I haven't looked at too many gaming scores, but I've looked at like if we look at some of the stuff here, um, the base performance 47% faster than the base M1 MacBook Air, which is crazy. This is a single core performance, by the way, and the single core performance is really good on, and that's what these chips are designed for. It's multitasking, it's okay, like it's multi-core, but still compared to an M1, this is awesome. Um, 8 gigs is the reason why it's 8 gigs is because this chip that they're using, the A18 Pro, only supports 8 gigs of RAM. I think a lot of people kind of miss that. Even I did in the beginning. I kind of like 8 gigs. Why 8 gigs? I get it. It needs to be cheap, but this is a good combo for where we are at with RAM in today's world. And Apple has the contacts, and they probably have RAM for days. In fact, the funny thing is, MacBook is becoming the more affordable option for some of the levels, like this one. As they've entered entry, their new MacBooks that they're releasing, some of their other stuff is bumped up. I think their RAM and hard drive space without bumping up the price in the sense of like for those tiers, and they got rid of the lowest one, which is good. So it's not. I mean, you can't upgrade the RAM or you can't upgrade the hard drive, which sucks. But I will have to say, I love my Mac Studio, and it is a powerhouse. I do a lot of stuff on it, including some game development. More so in Godot right now. I'm playing around a lot in Godot because Unreal, like Epic, refuses to fix a lot of their shit on Apple for the Unreal Engine. At least it works, but and I could technically get it to work if I really wanted to. It's just it should be able to perform much better than it does, and it's some issues with them. Um, so I'm kinda done with that. I have a feeling that this 8 gigs of RAM is going to bump up to, like, 10, 12, probably in 2 or 3 years when they release the next generation of this, because I bet you this is gonna be extremely popular, and it's kinda what Windows and Apple and Google has done in the past on and off. They swap back and forth, in classrooms, but Apple, I don't think, has ever gone into early classrooms except for maybe some iPad, stuff, but, like, this is going to be the new Chromebook. The nice thing about this is it won't be as much e-waste because this is actually a decent thing. Like, you can edit from my understanding, you can edit 4K video on this, at least the phone version of it, I'd assume for this too. And 8 gigs doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it has a really good compression, engine for RAM and also swapping to hard drives, and their hard drives are really fast. And I say this, someone that is maxed out. I have 96 gigs of RAM on my Mac Studio, and I've maxed out that RAM, and it swaps, and it does a good job of compressing where I don't notice when I have a lot of shit going on, including some LLMs. So I've put this thing through the ringer, but it's a Mac Studio once again. It's like I paid some a pretty penny for it. Um, Yeah, I'm not sure if it's gonna be the same Xbox UI on the Helix, especially when there's an Xbox Cloud web-based UI that really sweet. BT Maverick, I think it's gonna be pretty close from my understanding. They're gonna be using a very similar, system. I think they're designing the Xbox, uh, game mode, essentially, what they've been doing with Asus to, um, be kind of their go-to with a controller interface for gaming on Windows. because from my understanding, Helix, which is the next Xbox, is going to be, and we can. I can't remember if I have Helix in here, but if we don't, I'll get to it. Helix is going to be Windows based, like more so. Like past Xboxes, I don't know about the first one, have been Windows adjacent, where they used a little ripped out piece of Windows. From my understanding, this is going to be just essentially Windows that boots into to game mode. From my understanding, maybe it's going to be stripped down a little bit. I don't know, but the Mac Neo is for people like me who are not Apple users. It exists to convert. Yeah, Rachel, you're not wrong. Depending on what you like to do, this might be a good device. I don't know gaming wise how good it's going to be. Yeah, maybe we could, maybe I could look through it. It's got the 1080 screen, which or P camera, which from my understanding is pretty good. Center stage, I actually like it. Some people don't. It doesn't have fast charging, but it's the Wi-Fi 6E is not too bad. It's earphones are the speakers, from my understanding, are not great, but you know, you gotta pick and choose your battles for $500 essentially. uh, it's interesting that you pay $200 more or $100 more, I guess. You get an upgrade on storage, which and you get the Touch ID, which is kind of nice. I do like my Touch ID for security reasons. There's a lot of reasons to get the Touch ID or not Touch ID, but yeah, we could talk about that some other time. Um, sorry, give me 1 second. um, when it says performance is an exceptional, it's just kind of funny for 400. Is this a 4 out of 5 or is this a 4 out of 10? Because that's crazy. I am curious. Like, I'm not going to say this is going to beat anything that is $1,000 or more. This is entry level. Um, 3D test, which measures the laptop's capability with real-time graphics rendering. The MacBook Neo is still considerably behind some of its more expensive peers. However, the A18 Pro actually comes closest to the AMD Ryzen AI and its Radeon 8060 graphics and framework laptop 13 in our graphics test. But how much is that laptop? That's interesting. I'm While Apple's gaming ecosystem has expanded in recent years to include big name titles like Cyberpunk 2077 and Resident Evil 4 and Control, the A18 Pro chip isn't best for any of those demanding games. Did you try it? He says it's not best, but I'm curious. Like, I want to know. I should have pulled up a different. Let's pull up a different one. MacBook Neo review, because I want to know if there's like. Yeah, I'm just looking. Oh my gosh, what is okay? Well, that is not readable. Oh, PC Mag, dude, you guys suck. They do that whole like loop over so you can't go back. Um, Zaberfang, Mac is good for just daily tasks. Gaming can be a problem. Need more power, GPU to be better. Like with my MacBook Air I bought, that was 1,000. It was like $1,000. I got it on sale because I just needed something on the go for work. And it has 24 gigabytes of RAM, and I can run all my emulator simulators. I run some Docker stuff. I run a bunch of different things for work. It can when I get into Docker, it can start to get a little slower, but it's still pretty good. That being said, I have played Resident Evil on it, Resident Evil 4, I believe, and it was pretty decent. It's got the M4 chip on it, which is pretty good. For anyone that's going to be doing gaming and they can just bump up their when like like double the purchasing power to like 1,000. I'd recommend people get the MacBook Air over the Neo. The Neo is definitely entry level and it's not for gaming. But I am curious. Let's see. Gaming. I just want to know. It's always like I want to know how you can push it with this. Like push the boundaries. I'm just curious if anyone has any benchmarks for me. Um that's all I want is some benchmarks. have some benchmarks. So these are like the I believe this is CPU right here. Oh, interesting. They have the Snapdragon X Plus, so this is another ARM chip because that's what the chip in the Book Neo is ARM. Um, it beats the Microsoft laptop. This is an interesting one because like I know last year's chip, like this A18 chip, is beastly on the phone. It is decent. Oh, and by the way, people don't know this, but like the screen on this is not 1080. It is higher resolution. It's I think kind of goes along with the lines of what they say. Yeah. So they go along with what they typically go along with for pixel density. Um it's Cat Smith, welcome, welcome, welcome. A very locked down Windows. Yeah, I'd assume so, BD Maverick, but it'll be interesting to see what they kind of do with that. They might allow you to boot into Windows on it. From what it sounds like, they just want a powerful gaming PC that's more branded towards them. The Moore's Law guy said that Xbox Helix is around $900 at cost for Xbox, so it's up to Xbox if they want to subsidize it. I hate to say it, if they do subsidize it, but like if it's $1,000 or less, there's a good chance, depending on how interesting the Xbox Helix is that I might buy it. Don't tell the guys on off the console on Gardner and High Tech, but like I might buy it. Partially because it is if it's anything what I've seen spec wise, like it is gonna be a pretty good beastly machine. And I have 4 gamers in the house, myself included. Loki, unfortunately, is not a gamer yet. He likes to play games with his ball, I guess, but he's a balls kind of guy. Does Mac have Switch emulation? Apple is nasty. They know Windows is struggling, and they want to convert those who are tired of the AI Copilot push. Yeah, I mean, Rachie, I don't know if I'd go as far as nasty, but like they're opportunists. Nasty would be like subsidizing a couple of their products and just really, or coming if they really want to be nasty. Apple will be like, we've upgraded Rosetta to really Rosetta, which is like their compatibility layer with x86. Um, we're going to be competing with Microsoft next year. We're going to have an M5 Max chip put into a console, and we worked heavily with Proton to make sure all these games work on it. Um, I think that chip's the only thing that could destroy an Xbox at that price range. We'll see PlayStation probably be very similar. Steam Machine, I think is going to be very underpowered compared to the consoles that are coming out in the next year or two. Just going to be the case. Apple's silicon is disgustingly powerful and efficient. They just don't care about gaming that much. If they really want to be nasty, I'd say that they would do that. I doubt they'll do that though. Lumkey, you can buy whatever law if you can tell SteamOS on it be a golden. You cannot put SteamOS on M chips. In fact, you have to have a special Linux version, from my understanding, because it's ARM based. There might be a SteamOS version that kind of can, but it's not going to work how you'd expect, unfortunately. Um, I'm also in a more privileged situation. I would say that I can have my gaming computer, which it's a 3090. It's old. It's getting. I shouldn't say it's old, but it's like it's like 5 years old. Now maybe about five, 6. As long as it holds on a little long, I've swapped out some parts on it. As long as the 3090 can last like a few more years, like I don't need anything else. I'm fine. I have a KVM right here. Excuse me. I have a KVM right here, and I can switch between my Mac and my Windows. And my Mac, I will just stream because it's on the Ethernet. I will stream from my Windows to my Mac, depending on if I care about visuals or not. Just makes it easy. But I do so much do so much work, like programming, AI, whatever it is. I do so much, and I was getting freaking tired of Windows, tired of working with Windows, with work, with Copilot, with everything coming in. I'm done with Windows. And for me, for like, I will use it for gaming, and that's about it. Anything beyond that, it's Linux or Mac. And just because the ecosystem's so easy for doing content, and I don't have time as much these days to do stuff, ease is going to win over every day, everything. I like to mess around and everything. Like I have devices to mess around with. That's why I get some of the handhelds. I do a bunch of stuff because I like to mess around with those. I'll put new operating systems on. But like my Mac Studio is the one device that I don't try to mess around with. Is it's consistent. Um, MacBook Neo is crazy good value, and I haven't touched a Mac in a decade. Um, yeah, if you're only going to have one computer and you play games, especially games online, like I get it, Windows all the way, or dual boot with SteamOS, or you know, with the other one. But it's just I do so much work, guys. I do so much, and it's so nice to have something that is just mounted under my desk, so I can't even tell it's here. The Mac Studio is. Speaking towards old Xbox consoles being an old locked down Windows console, just like PlayStation is a locked down Linux PC. Yeah, yeah. It is interesting that they went Windows route though with Xbox, but I get it. I get it. Uh, BT Maverick, there was some new DLSS upgrades, even for the 30 series GPUs that's supposed to release. Yeah. It is going to be nice, like that. I get those upgrades. Remember when Mac was for the rich kids? Mac is for rich kids technically, but yeah. They also have good like parental controls. Like I don't want to get it for my kids, but they don't play a good game. There's a whole mess with that. So, um, it is Unix based. So like I do a lot of terminal stuff. Like you can't see it, but on my computer I have a lot of terminals. I do much prefer terminal, like Unix based terminals, as opposed to the command prompt in Windows. So honestly, playing around on Linux and playing around on Mac is very, very similar at times, especially when you get into the nitty gritty. Yeah. Rachie, remember when Mac? Yeah. Okay, yeah, read that one. Let's get back into this. What am I doing? I want to let's do high guard shutting down is hilarious. I'm going to tell you right now. I think the internet just made it go happen much sooner. It was not going to whether it was going to be featured or not. It was not going to make it. Oh yeah, there's also some new GDC news. I think with um, Steam Frame. Let's see, GDC Valve. Let's do that, and then let's do the since we've been talking about a bunch Xbox Helix. Let's talk about this, guys. Um, Project Helix. Honestly, if they called it the Xbox Helix, it'd be better than anything they've come out with in a while, but we'll see. Microsoft needs to make their machines easier to develop because too many devs made excuse to exclusively not release it on the Xbox. I don't get Xbox. I mean, to be fair, Xbox is not doing well right now in the sense of like the console portion. Like their hardware sales are down 30%. They're just getting destroyed, but at the same time, I think they expected this and they're making up that money in subscriptions and stuff, which VC back stuff, which Microsoft's not even VC, they're the VCs essentially now, but like VC backed, and a lot of companies love subscription based. That's why everyone's trying to go to that, which kind of sucks. Like I've released products on my own. I like subscription because it's like it's income over time, but I also hate subscriptions myself, so I also try to stay away from them when selling my own products. But yeah, this is not fancy enough. Let's go to IGN. Microsoft reveals Project Helix features at next gen Xbox GGC talk. Alpha versions to be sent to devs in 2027. Okay, so that means that they are not going to release it probably in 2027, I'd assume, right? So maybe 2028. Microsoft revealed early features of Project Helix. It's not its next gen Xbox when confirming plans to send alpha versions of the hardware to developers 2027. It could be like maybe mm, you need more than a year with I'd assume with the alpha versions of the hardware to get really like day one releases, but at the same time, if it's so much a PC, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it can release in 2027. I don't know. It is weird that they what's his face is gone from Xbox and it's an AI CEO of Xbox now. Like she's specialized in AI before. Always weird. Doesn't give me a lot of hope, I'll be honest, but you know, we'll see. Uh the entire design of the console is to usher in the next generation of console gaming by advancing the state of the art and really breaking a lot of these barriers down. Ronald said Project Helix is designed to play your Xbox console and PC games, delivering high performance and providing the ultimate player first experience. We're partnering closely with AMD to define the next generation of rendering and simulation. Project Helix is powered by a custom AMD based SoC, which surprise, and it's co-designed for the next generation of DirectX. Project Helix bring so okay, sounds like there's a little drop there that they're working on a new version of DirectX. We have not had like a true next gen DirectX in what, a decade? Project Helix bring honestly might be more than a decade now. Man, 2026 really is effing with me. Project Helix brings intelligence directly into the graphics and compute pipeline, delivering step change functions and gains in efficiency, scale, and visual ambitions. This is so gamer or programmer coded. But yeah, interesting. Do they actually have like a video? Microsoft is such a funny term too that people are using Microsoft. Uh, Microsoft needs to make their machine easier to develop on. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think. Well, I think it is good. Microsoft Xboxes are not hard, especially this time around. They will not be hard to develop on. If it is also a PC, technically any game that comes out for PC will be able to run on an Xbox. Um, Watch Helix is Microsoft new AI for gaming. I hope it's not like that's it. This chick right there, she's the AI person. Bizarre. Bizarre. I'm not gonna lie. I've been a part of a couple of companies that have essentially I wasn't higher up, but I've worked at a couple of companies where they made really bad mistakes hiring C-level execs and it tanked them. CTOs especially. Pulling from like they like to pull from a pool of like execs from other companies or up and comers that are just way too ambitious and they lose sight their ambition, they lose sight of actually how to make a proper product that sells. But I think she essentially monetized AI. So expect the everything to be monetized with this potentially. Give me 1 second. Man, excuse me. So as long as there's no subscriptions tied to this, um, Xbox Helix, as long as I can play my PC games on it and it's really powerful and it's under 1,000, it could be my next PC, honestly, especially if there's like, I don't know. I'm just curious how you're gonna be able to do like online gaming because right now they require a subscription, right? Just like unless they're getting rid of that. If so, okay, cool. I'll bite, you know. Give me a powerful PC that's in my room that is can do everything I want. I don't know, and especially if yeah, let's say I want to put SteamOS on it, that'd be fun. I want to have some fun with this. It'll be interesting to see if it will be locked down to try to prevent SteamOS being put on it. Um, but it's a PC, so I don't know. Could it be truly a PC if I can't put SteamOS on this? Lochi, did you remember? Did you see it? I went nice. You went BT Maverick went viral the other day on Twitter. Uh, yeah, you should share it, BT Maverick, your viral moment. LoJack, hit the like button. Slackers, yes, you guys are all slackers, and you should be punished. And your punishment is to hit that like button. You need to up your vitamin C game, dude. Sicky boy. I know, dude. Uh, I I ate an apple. Does apple have vitamin C in it? But we've had this conversation. It's your go-to low jack whenever I cough. No, mine is I have asthma, and I just got done being sick, and so after I get done being sick, I'm cough for a while. Um, so Lumkey, if I remember, it's going to be priced as a high-end PC. The new Xbox that is, as the AMD chip won't be cheap to make. That's what I hear. But analysts are also saying it's going to cost about $900. So we could probably expect if they want to make money off of it, $1,200. If it beats my, especially if it beats my 3090 in any way and doesn't output as much heat, which it's an APU, it most likely won't. I wouldn't be against getting this. LoJack, I have plenty of excuses. I have excuses for days. Um, I'm really interested actually in the future of APUs. Now, if it's not an APU, I don't know. I'm really curious to see where this project at Helix goes. I don't want to be disappointed, but I probably will be. Um, but it is one of those things that was designed by what's his face, the previous CEO. So maybe the AI um, chick coming in is not going to hurt it. Or she's gonna be like, "Well, this is how we're gonna have to monetize it. We're gonna stick AI on it and it's Copilot." If it has Copilot on it, that's like a probably a day one no for me. I've used Copilot in the past for programming. It's okay. I really try to avoid Copilot as much as possible. There's a like, give me Claude, okay, you got me, but I'm not doing Copilot. Um, Depends. Look at the framework PC. They can make it any cheaper. Yeah. So Lomkey through bargaining of like how much they're gonna sell, and then maybe this will hurt their sales too. Maybe that's another reason why they're saying that they're going this route. It's because they're just not gonna be able to sell as many as like they used to potentially. And they're going this route, but they're gonna be able to sell a lot more than Steam OS, like Steam Deck, Steam Machine. They're gonna be able to sell a lot of these devices, even if they're kind of been going downhill in like the console sales. Um, they can sell it for a lot cheaper than like Framework. Framework doesn't get the bulk buying power that, and they have to sell it at a cost. Xbox does not. They make all their money off of accessories. And most consoles, they famously sell it either at cost or they sell it subsidized, where they maybe lose a little bit, but they know they're going to pick it up in licenses from games and from accessories. So Xbox doesn't need to make any money, but they probably will, or maybe they'll do. I don't know. It'll be interesting. So co-designed for the next generation of DirectX, which is that's exciting. You know, like these are something I'd rather be open. Hopefully, we have like a more open sourced version of the new DirectX come out sooner than later. I don't like that it's closed source, but you know well, it is what it is. At least it's something. Next gen ray tracing performance and capabilities. GPU directed work graph execution is bizarre. But it will be interesting. Like if it's what I don't know. I'm not going to try to dive into that, but it's got me thinking step functions or like stepped based works. Built for next generation of neural rendering. Uh, okay, aka it's going to have more AI features, which is not bad for like machine learning, like next generation ML upscaling, which is going to have more AI cores. I think this is just kind of saying it's going to have more AI cores on it. Not a bad thing for especially if ML like machine learning is going to be able to be used on it and some of this other stuff. Like AI is not bad. It's just or at least the stuff behind it, I just don't I want it to be game based. I don't want it to be these weird things that are trying to shove into my face. I want it to be like, okay, how can it improve my gameplay? Having an assistant underneath, like Cortana, like if they could bring back Cortana, maybe, but I don't want Copilot. Um, yeah, they're gonna have a lot of good new pieces of tech to be on this. So when will the Project Helix be released? 2027, 2028, 2029? And it looks like there is no answer. Perhaps we'll get a proper reveal final version of the console at the end of this year, or maybe more likely in the summer of 2027. Yeah, it's probably going to be within the next, especially if they're going to be releasing dev units in a year. We'll probably find out in the next year, year and a half. And if Valve gets too close to that for the Steam machine, they are going to be hurting pretty bad. Um, we tried to believe bin APUs since the AMD A10. Uh, uh, Lomkey, not if they allow Steam on the new Xbox or Epic Games. Then no money for Xbox per sell unless they lock it down is weird. I have a feeling it's going to be a hot mess. Here's what I think. I think there's going to be a couple things that's going to happen. I think they want to get those on because guess they're making this play that's worrying PlayStation. That's why PlayStation is pulling from Steam sales, which I was really annoying. I was really liking that era. But Xbox or like in the sense of like allowing competitors like stores to be on the next Xbox is they'll still make money. They're a publisher now. Like first and foremost, Xbox has pretty much gone almost from they still do like controllers and stuff, but their controllers just are not nearly as good as a PS5 controller. They really have got to up their game. If they want to stay on the hardware side of things, they need to up their game and have a better controller. I'm fine with a premium Xbox and they want to go that route. Just sell a little less, but premium, especially if I can do my game like my PC stuff. We'll see. We'll see. But uh at the end of the day, I think they are going to be making they're just going to be making money off those. So if it's sold on Epic, if it's sold on Steam, they still make a lot of money from the published games. We'll see. And they might be maybe they'll make a deal with Steam and Epic to lower their costs, split some of their costs with them, like maybe 10%. I don't know. It'll be interesting though. Um, BT Maverick, you probably can't share links on chat. I'll look at this a little later. I won't bring it up because it looks like it's going to be a little inflammatory. But it looks interesting, BT Maverick. I'll get back to you on that. Cascoder, possible Xbox official Xbox 360 emulator on PC, according to reports. That is very exciting, actually. Likely, we'll play the games that are on BC program. Yeah. I mean, Xbox 360. I probably have a couple of games still. I just don't have an Xbox 360. I think my last one died a few years ago. Funny enough. I'll have to pick up another one. Xbox 360 is, I think, Xbox's best console, but it is what it is. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, they're promoting a lot of like tech, GeForce tech. I don't want to buy another. If I buy a new card, will Control look amazing? Because sell me on RTX. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I do. It's not a must-have though. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna look that much better on my 3090 than if I bought a new AM or NVIDIA chip. I mean, I'm really excited for Control Resident, but we'll see. We shall see. These are roundups, but let me let's get into what we've given to the last. Like we've waited until the last. What is better, the One X Fly Apex or the Ioneo Next? Um, maybe PC will soon get quick resume. That would be nice. BT Maverick, not a big deal. My notifications were going nuts for a few days. BT Maverick, I haven't had anything too viral, but I've had a few posts on like Reddit and one or two on Twitter on another account go crazy. Probably not to that extent though. So I could only imagine. Lumkey, a lot of GeForce tech looks nice on demos once the game is out, but they pull back some of the stuff due to frame rate problems. I agree, Lumkey, kind of, except for I mean, I've had good luck with some of the Nvidia tech. I like it. Like I chase that type of stuff though. I'm here for that. But I also agree, like, don't buy a new graphics card because they're trying to sell you something. I just usually upgrade every few generations, and it's hitting that time where I usually upgrade. Like I've been on a 3090 for a while. A 5000 series is usually like I usually skip a generation or two. And so I'm getting a little itchy on my trigger finger and I don't want to buy a new and like I want to and I don't. Chris, you're still here. Good, good, good. We're going to get into this, man. So, what are your so what do you like about each one of these? Let's just get into that. First off, they probably both have the Ryzen AI Max Plus 395, which is sorry, I have gum in my mouth, but um, which is a beastly APU. And if you're wanting to game on the go and have like the best APU that is, be in your hand, this is going to be it. I've heard great things about it. Uh, I still like the Legion. I'll be honest, I still like the Legion Go 2. I mean, I still own it. Will I sell it? Maybe, maybe not. I do play it still, but I'm not against going. I do have a hard time. I go back to the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck screen is just not quite as big. Obviously, it's just I like the controllers more on the Steam Deck, just a little bit more. But Lenovo's like biggest downside is those weak trigger joysticks. As far as like aesthetics and probably like support, I would assume Ioneo Next would be what I'd recommend. These trackpads aren't going to work like you expect them to, but like with Steam Deck, or like if you want to put SteamOS on there, but who knows? Maybe they've improved it since this the I think it was Ioneo Kun that they came out with. Um, dual mode triggers, 9-inch screen. So if it's like a bigger screen, what's the cost on this? It's been a long time since I've seen these. Like I haven't seen these devices in a few, like in a month or two. Shouldn't say a long time, but let's see, 20. So yeah, so it's the AI 395. So for 64 gigabytes of RAM, which is just crazy overkill for this, 1 terabyte, it's $2,300. And if we look at the One X, you can get you can get it cheaper. So if you want to save a few $100s, like that's a better deal. Um, liquid cooling, probably just use a is it actually liquid or is it just the vapor chamber? One X player Frostbay liquid cooling. So you can see the fan right here. These are just more fancy vapor cooling chambers. They'll probably do a decent job. I don't know if they do that much better of a job though. Cascade Ioneo's created a security concern. Their app is taking screenshots constantly on their Windows devices. There isn't enough evidence that screenshots are being sent to their servers, but could be bad. Um, So there's a lot of apps, people might not realize this, a lot of apps that have support pieces in their software. I don't know about browser, but, like, on the desktop, a lot of, and a lot of, different apps can have the ability to take screenshots. So if, like, a crash happens, they were taking screenshots, and then they can send the crash screenshot off early on. They also do it for some other analytics. I'm not trying to defend Ioneo. I'm just saying there's reasons sometimes companies doing it. For a company like Ioneo, I don't see why you'd really like, your software's not that important to be taking screenshots of, but whatever. Yeah, like Ioneo's always like been like I've had Ioneos. I've had like the small Ioneo, whatever it was called, like a 5.5-inch screen with an OLED, and that OLED screen was horrible. When I got it, I was very disappointed. It would just bleed. It was just too harsh of an OLED. It was almost like so it's almost like they took the crappiest OLED you could and then tried to saturate it more to make it feel like it's a good OLED, and it was disgusting. You will not be able to take the Ioneo Next 2 on the plane. This is a 116 watt battery. Both these devices are Chinese first made, like meaning they're Chinese companies, One X Player and Ioneo. So security wise, I don't know if one's better or not. Okay, yes, this is yeah, okay. The One X, Fly Apex is an interesting design because it has, I remember now, has these batteries on the back, um, integrated GPU delivering RTX 4060 class performance. From my understanding, yeah, it's pretty close. Like, it's pretty beastly. And you gotta remember that these both support, I pretty sure eGPUs. So if you ever wanna, I still haven't done that. I need to do that one of these days. If you wanna get an eGPU and shove it into there, because this 48 gigs of RAM, okay, this is I'm just gonna say it, like, this is ridiculous. Uh, you should be getting a 32 gigabyte 385. This is the max you should get. I don't know about getting like a, obviously I don't wouldn't get a 16, but like 48, we're starting to get into territory. This is kind of ridiculous. Um, RAM prices though, that would be $200 more. Hmm, it's not enough RAM to be $200 worth it more. iNeo just comes out the gate with 64 gigs, which is crazy. Bigger screen. I would assume the screen on this would be a little bit better. Chrisley, you don't travel a lot. Why don't you get a PC then at this price? Or wait for the Steam OS? Do you just like I know I personally like to play my machines in bed or when I'm hanging out with the family or doing like they're just convenient for me. That's why I do more and more portable gaming. It really comes down to like I can say after seeing both, Ioneos tend to be more polished, feel a little better in your hand. One X Flies tend to be usually a little bit better deal. It definitely looks like because it's the One X Fly Apex. The One X Fly had really good reviews, and even like so, it really comes down to do you want to spend less or more? And that security concern that Cascoder brings up is important. Does dual mode trigger locks matter? Like we could get into what that is, but like that could be another day. 116. This is not going to be able. You're not going to be able to go on an airplane with this. Like PC handles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it, Chris. SteamOS, put it into sleep for a week, come back to the game where you left off. Yeah, pretty much, Loki. Uh, I'm assuming since this has a battery. Let's see here. Let's look at let's see if they have an actual is external liquid cooling unit for wait, does this just attach to the freaking back? It has a mini SSD. I don't know how easy those are to get though. That is cool. Um I mean, they do sell it pretty good. Like, this is not a bad looking device. Built-in AI local assistant. I mean, DeepSeek, you could run DeepSeek on this, especially if you get like the 64. If you get the 48, the 64, it'd probably run it fine. Anything lower, yeah. But unless you're a big AI nerd, I wouldn't recommend going these routes. These are not bad. It's just, yeah, I wouldn't get a device like this to, well, I guess if you want to recycle it later, it's not too bad. Um, 16 by 10, okay. Interesting. It's got the trigger status indicator too. Um, so as short travel, you can enable it depending on what game you're into, like as you can see. Um, kind of hoping to get to the spec sheet soon. Okay. Okay, so they have version 1 and 2. Why? I thought we were just looking at 1 the whole time, but so this is about the same price when you look at the RAM, but you're going to be getting less with this one. If you don't go on airplanes ever, then you should be good. They're cracking down pretty heavy too. Like, um, TSA is not messing around when it comes to batteries anymore, so they're going to if you try to bring this on, there's a good chance that they're not gonna let you on. I don't know what happens if you bring this and they don't. Yeah. Besides that, I think aesthetically, this is the better looking one. I think those trackpads, though, are probably gonna end up being useless. If you like a bigger screen, this is gonna be the better one if you're not going very far. It is gonna be heavier, and this is one of the things I like about the Legion Go 2 is it has a kickstand. Um, but if it's all about power for you and comfort, this might be the better one for you. If you want some extra bells and whistles and, like, it's got the adjustable refresh rate, but I don't know if it's dynamic. Yeah, they're very, very similar in a lot of ways. One's just very like, it has some fun accessories. This one's just gonna be pretty good out of the box. If I was pulling the trigger today, um, it would be really hard to not go with the Aya Neo device. But, I travel enough, and if I'm getting a main device, like, if I can get a device like this, like my Legion Go is my main portable device right now, and because I travel enough, the One X Player would be it. So, it really comes down to what kind of a person you are and your lifestyle. Um, Both I think are good. Both are going to like, 9-inch screens, like, maybe a little too big. Not to to beat this horse anymore. If I know that I was never leaving or going on an airplane or didn't really wanna leave the house with the device, probably the Ioneo Next. I just like the way it looks and feels more like I just like Ioneo devices for that. I think they're better built. But for on the go and being able to I do like the idea of an external little pack I can slap to the back. And I'm a sucker for accessories, even though, maybe I wouldn't use it, maybe I would. The mini SSD is oh, look at that. A mini SSD right there for $169 is a little pricey, but, like, you're gonna get a lot of speed, and they even have it on here, and it doesn't look like it's sold out, so mm, let's check out Aya Neo real quick. Let's see, do they have, um they have a main drive, NVMe 2280, they have a 2230, so I don't think unless they shoved it in it's like, well, I'm not seeing SD card slot there. There should be an SD card. Oh, they use both those drives? Potentially? No, they don't. Um, yeah, right there. So it's going to be a faster card slot than the Steam Deck, but it doesn't have the micro SSD, which is it's kind of like I think it's a little bit more common in China, if I'm not mistaken. But you got Pearl, like you just got a lot of accessories with the One X player. Um, it's the one that I'm least like I've played around with the least R1X players. Um, and so that is like maybe a little bit of a hesitation, but I would assume Linux has pretty good driver. I shouldn't say assume, but I'm sure Linux has some drivers for micro SSD or mini SSD. But if they don't, then you definitely want to move this to Steam Deck or SteamOS. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of my consensus. It was me like on the fly, padumcha, getting one of these devices and probably do the One X player, just because I'm portable. To finalize, put my final answer in. Um, Rachie, I had my Xbox Series X disconnected from power for a month, came back, and all 6 of my games were quick resume ready. That is crazy, Rachie. Chris, the One X player Apex has to be plugged in most of the time. That's how they made it. Mini SSD should come to Android devices so I can play all my games. Rachie, I agree. Like, how is mini SSD not like a thing yet? This looks like an amazing tech. I want it so bad. Um, it's designed to be plugged in all the time. That's fine and all, but like this should drain less. Okay, overall, this should drain less battery than the Ioneo Next. Ioneo Next has a bigger screen and it is got yeah, it's got a bigger screen. So out of both of those, like tech wise, like this is going to drain a little bit more battery. I don't know, probably 5% more, 10% more, maybe, depending on how optimizations and how their hardware and drivers are. They do have, oh, what would you say, like a 30% increase in battery? I don't know. Either one is going to be like you're connected all the time. If you're playing this thing maxed out, you're going to be by an outlet after an hour. I don't see these things maxed out lasting past an hour, hour and a half. This one has the ability to you and this battery pack for well, TSA also might be going away with like combined. So I don't know if you could take this and the battery pack on the plane, but you'd have a better chance to do that. I'm not going to speculate about that too much, but um, the battery pack is it's so much money, but if you do grab the battery pack with it, then you'll end up with I think what 20-30% more battery life than the Ioneo 2 and next to that is. So there's always taking that into account if you want to go that route. Um Raichi, okay. Lomki, any new stuff for SteamOS? As for new hardware support, won't get it until later due to being slow and stable. SteamOS for new hardware. No, there's no other like Lenovo's supposed to be releasing Lenovo Legion Go 2 with SteamOS. I don't even know if that's officially come out technically. I think they're struggling. I think a lot of companies are struggling to get new stuff out because of the RAM issue. And depending on who you are, like Microsoft, PlayStation, they're big because they build one console and sell tens of up to hundreds millions of them. Uh, these devices don't do that. They can't buy bulk and save in bulk and have like a good surplus. It's got the biggest battery for PC handheld Ioneo Next to it. Does, but if you slap that battery pack onto the One X player, then it does. So, because I believe the battery pack is also 80, isn't it? Or am I going crazy here? Yeah, 85, and it's swappable, which is cool. But like, here's the thing: like, I like all the stuff. It was like $1,000. If I can get this with $1,000 and have a couple of battery packs I could swap in and out, awesome. It's just it becomes a really expensive item. In June, they say it's coming out in June. Okay. Well, I mean, you can get the One X player now, though. It's up to you, though. Like I said, those are my 2 cases. Like, if you want a lot more extendability on X Player, be able to go on the be able to go on an airplane. I know Next, I just know has pretty good build quality, at least feel wise, and like when I taken them apart. But yeah, if you're gonna just be staying at home, that bigger screen is gonna be nicer. So, um, I think that's pretty much it. We got GDC Valve, finally details Steam Machine verified program. We do have some new stuff on this, Lumkey. So 1080p at 30 frames per second is Valve's final details Steam Machine's verified program. So, 1080p at 30 frames is like their standard. It has to be consistent 30 frames to be Steam Machine verified, which is interesting. They're not going to require some of the other things that they require on the Steam Deck. Let's see. Further go into this. Um, Same input expectations as the deck, which makes sense. Not testing display resolution or legit. Is that legability? Legability? I don't know. Actually, don't know what legability. So it's a term I've not run into. You guys tell me what it is. So they're not going to be testing resolutions. But at the same time, they say it has to be 1080p by 30 frames per second. But 1080p and run at 30 frames per second means that they're 1080. This is going to be a 1080 upscale to 4K using FSR and all that. Like that's what they're kind of planning on doing. I think if it's 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck, I can safely say that I would be shocked if any game, including the new Resident Evil, wouldn't be able to play at this on this thing at 1080p at 60 frames per second. That'd be just crazy. But it could be future proofing this. Um, as far as like, I would recommend trying to run games at 1440 at 60 frames and then upscaling to 4K if you can. Like the Steam Deck upscales pretty well on like 4K TVs. TVs are pretty good at upscaling too. I mean, heck, PlayStation, Xbox upscale a lot more than people realize. And upscaling is sometimes a little different than people realize than just like using FSR purely, like pure FSR. Like TVs can do upscaling quite a bit. Um, no, no, I'm talking about the Legion Go 2 Steam OS June. Oh, it's coming out in June. I've heard that there's risks of that not coming out though. I didn't know when it was gonna be coming out. I just because I can put SteamOS on my Legion Go, but I heard that there's rumors that stuff like Legion Go 2 won't be able to come out because of, supply issues, but we'll see. They're having a hard time with new SKUs. Um, yeah. Dickerous, it could definitely play Crimson Desert. I think the Steam machine is gonna be able to play any game when it first comes out that is able to be played on a SteamOS or Windows on the Steam machine. If it's 6 times more powerful, you can play, especially with a couple of tweaks and some mods and stuff like that for like frame generation, you can play anything on the Steam Deck, technically. Once again, that's not anti-cheat enabled for just Windows. You can play pretty much anything on the Steam Deck with some, like I said, Steam frame generation, et cetera, et cetera. 6 times more powerful. Yeah, you're gonna be able to play, I think, anything at 1440 even, at a decent frame rate, uh, depending on the game. We'll have to see, though. They say 6 times Steam Deck performance. I don't know what that fully means, in the sense of, like, I don't know what that translates out when actually playing games, so we'll see. Steam Machine verified, Steam Deck test, deck verified, machine verified. Deck playable because of, legibility? Oh, legibility. Oh my damn god. I was like, Lego. I don't read legibility often. It a little a little tangent. Legibility is not very legible. So that's oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever read legibility in my life. Um, because of legibility or default resolution, meaning like text won't isn't very apparent. Deck playable for other reasons like input. So like a deck playable is going to be machine verified, which is interesting. Deck playable for other reasons like input, machine playable. Deck unsupported because of SteamOS, machine unsupported. Deck unsupported because of performance, machine test, which is interesting. Like it will be. I still think they could automate this system a lot more and use machine learning and maybe even AI to better test these and run flows. But it's up to them how they want to do it, I guess. Uh, 4K be questionable for some games. You 100% Lumkey. Like you'd upscale. So you wouldn't play in 4K, but you'd upscale in 4K. Like you'd output it as 4K, but you wouldn't actually render it as 4K. So the TV would upscale it. Yeah. Doom Eternal would play probably. It's yeah, it's hard because the Steam Machine's RAM limitations and some other stuff will make it not a very good 4K machine, but it'll be an amazing 2K, which is 1440p, and good at upscaling. I think it'll be pretty good at doing that type of stuff. Chris, how much is the Steam Machine? Would you buy a Resident Evil, but it was a Lego game? 100%, Chris. I would 100% buy a Resident Evil Lego game. 100%. I love Resident Evil that much. That being said, I've played other Lego games. I like Lego games, but I usually play them with Susanna or like Susie, my wife, or my kids. Like if I don't go out of my way to choose them unless it's very niche specific. Like, yeah. Like the new Batman one actually looks pretty good. Um, yeah. What happened to 4K 60? Yeah. When Valve first showed off the Steam Machine, it made a big deal out of it. And with frame generation, it could do 4K 60. But with frame generation, you run the risk of latency and some other issues that come into it. So it's always a balancing act. So it's probably just safer for them to do 1080 and then it upscales. So 1080 at 30 frames per second, it actually makes a lot of sense. After all, if you turn FSR to performance mode on a 4K display, game is going to be rendering at 1080p anyways. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So at the end of the day, it really depends on just how you want to play it. You don't have to play with FSR, but you're not going to like this. You're not going to. I have to say, Culver's fish stuff and all this stuff is garbage. I just had to deviate. Horrible fish there. But yeah, move on. So at least for me. Um, by me. Lomkey, I want the new Steam controller so I don't have my touch my mouse and keyboard. I love my mouse and keyboard though, but I do like that Resident Evil 9 first person mode, like first person mode, I guess. Like when you can play either one with it. Best with Grace. It was a little hard for me with the mouse and keyboard. They optimized it too much for the mouse or for the controller. And so like the first person I had to play it with a controller. It was fun. Definitely fun. So, yeah, we're getting more. At least this is a little bit more. It's interesting is that GDC too. Cuz it's just like okay, so they went there to GDC and did a hardware presentation. They got to get some games there. Updated API to detect hardware. That will be interesting. Beyond that, I don't know if there's anything else that Valve announced at GDC. But I think they did talk about the Steam frame somewhat too. Or maybe they had some developers there talk about it. This is like their evolution over time. The Steam controller better come out soon. I think it kind of pisses me off that they're holding off on that, probably because the other devices, but they should just release it. Do some good faith, especially if the Steam Machine gets pushed till next year. They should push it. Man, I need to try. I'm on a different browser configuration, so it has ads. So don't mind all the ads. Um, yeah, it's very this is probably gonna be very much more developers, oriented, which is I'll have to look into it some more. Like, going beyond is running on Steam Deck, is big picture, platform detection APIs, is big picture, is running in Proton. Actually, this would be very useful for my deck rebuild project I worked on that I will probably resurrect. And you guys don't get mad at me too much, but I'm going to probably resurrect with AI with Claude Code. I built a ton of it out. It just needs to be. I just Claude Code does a good job with my ADHD of helping me finish stuff, and so I'll get that back out. But this will be good for like Steam, my software. Proton specific, avoid it. Invasive DRM or anti-tamper. Prefer a codecs like VP. What is so preferred is codecs, but why in the specific? Interesting. So it's going to have some more debugging tools, anti-cheat update, built-in support, and major solutions integration of custom solutions still a challenge. Um, yeah. Real Game Studio. Steam Frame streaming, no verified program for streaming. If it runs well on your host PC, it will run well on Steam Frame. Ooh. Streaming requires no special integration, including for VR titles. So it's just plug and play is freaking awesome. Lomkey, be good on Valve. If they offer some without RAM and SSD for Steam machine at a cheaper price, but with big warning if people go that. Honestly, if they have the machines built out without the RAM and the SSD, yeah, I would buy one without. I have, in fact, I have SODEM like essentially laptop RAM. I have RAM for it, and I also have I just have extra parts. Like, let me just buy it like that. I'll do that, but they're not going to do that. It'd ruin their launch, and they want a really strong launch, which I get. The Steam Frame is looking really good. Like I want a standalone. I'm really, really tempted to get this. It really comes down to price. If it's over $1,500, it's a no-go for me. I'm really hoping it's 1,000 or less. So we'll see. Um, expanding ARM, like expanding Proton for ARM64 architecture, allow x86 games to run on Steam Frame, ARM chip. I'm hoping that this kind of ebbs over to the M chips too, but we'll see. But from my understanding, yeah, for Android, it's looking good. Um, yeah, I'm really curious. Like, it's more and more apparent that you can like Steam OS is going to be the gaming OS in the near future. But it might be another few years. So until everything's really solid, as looks like, and they're still gonna have to solve the Fortnite on Steam OS kind of conundrum. Like, you have to be able to play pretty much all the games that you can on Windows on Steam. Well, with that being said, guys, it sounds like my kids are being wild and this is their bedtime. I need to go help them get to bed. Thank you guys for watching. Is there anything else you want to mention? If not, it's been a while. I can't guarantee I'll be back every week on Wednesday, but I'll try to make it more. Uh, and I'd rather work on some more videos for you guys. And then, but yeah, like do some more streaming. Maybe I'll do some more gaming on streams. It's fun. I do like doing that type of stuff. PT Maverick James, make sure to open up time in June for SGF Xbox Showcase. Make sure to open up in time. Oh, like the Twitter. I'll open up the tweet after this. M Chip is all who willing to do the work for Metal API. Agreed. Well, I mean, there are companies like Crossover does do that. Crossover is kind of they contribute to Proton a lot. They're the company I think that, or at least one of the companies, or like a bunch of the developers are, I think, funded partially by Valve, but then they also do stuff on Mac. It's pretty good. It does a pretty good job. Honestly, like any game that runs on a Windows, if Mac really wanted it to, they could run it on like my Mac Studio. should be able to run any game at pretty decent performance. It's crazy. Um, I want to tell you that 1X Fly Apex is up to 8 TB. That's not bad. I wouldn't recommend getting an 8 TB version. I'd probably recommend getting the 1 or 2 and then upgrading it yourself. But if you don't want to go that route, then getting the 4, but 8 is too much. But that is interesting, Chris. BT Maverick just went to Game of Devs on Sunday, and that was awesome. Dude, that sounds awesome. Lomkey, Crossover funds wine, if I remember. Yeah, they work on wine and Proton. Like they're big contributors. So and Proton is wine. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Let's chat next week. I'm gonna probably ask for some video ideas in the near future and do at least a couple more videos, a month than I've been doing. I just get caught up in like I had some videos. I always do this. Like I release some videos, I have some other ideas, and then I kind of chicken out because I just don't feel like they're gonna do too well. And then I like one of them I edited and I took too long to edit, and then it was just still. So I'm gonna get some more stuff out for you guys though. And with that being said, peace out, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. Later. See you on Off the Console if you enjoy us over there. BG Maverick, if you want to go to LA. Nah, I'm not against going to LA. We'll see. I almost went to GDC this